All right. Well, I'm here with Dr. Tammy Sorenson Besher, and we're going live for you today. And we are going to add Tammy over on Instagram, and we're already live here on Facebook and on YouTube. How you doing, Tammy?
I'm doing well, Eric. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly appreciative and very blessed to have the opportunity. So thank you.
Mhm. And we're both we love wellness and we love sharing it with the Awake community. And I want to invite Tammy to the Instagram feed too, and we're working on that. So Tammy, did you get an invite to join me or anything?
I didn't. I saw something pop up, but no, I
Ooh, I
didn't.
got it right here. Tammy, let me invite you to join. So we're
Okay.
just getting Tammy live on Instagram as well for people over there. And I just hit invite.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll
Let's
get that
see.
and you can hop on live on both. Ooh, you joined.
Yes, I'm joined. That would be stellar for us to be able to pair.
Cool.
Okay. Do I need
Awesome.
to do anything further, or do you see that just kind of thinking about the invitation?
Yeah, I think I hope we're live on Instagram. I see that you're in the conversation at least.
I see
Hmm,
you definitely.
okay. Oh, yeah, there's a request to join, but you're already joined.
Right. So
Mhm.
does it like split screen, or how does that work? I don't want to. I'm just not sure of the technical question on that one.
I know. Hmm. Let's see. I would love to have us on here together.
Right. I mean, I'm just going to
Mhm.
move it over just because I have to be able to see. I see you. Thanks for
Um,
joining. Tell me. Okay. This is the beauty of this. Okay. So we're live there. I get this is how we figure out the okay, do you want to send me an invite just to kind of see where we're at on that?
I did. I think, well, we'll just see how it goes. At least they can see me on Instagram, but that doesn't really work, does it? We want Tammy on here. Um,
Right, right. Well, I
hmm.
think if you send it again, because I didn't have my camera and my mic set up on it. So I think if you send it again, that
Huh?
should allow me to do it. And again, sorry folks, but we're
Oh,
we're figuring out the technical difficulties as we go. So I'm
I sent
on
an
here.
invite.
Right. I feel like if we do it again, we'll have we'll have contact. We'll
All
just
right. And we just got a comment that we are live,
great.
but Dr. Tammy was unable to join. It said, ooh,
Let's see. No, I think we're gonna get it. Let's see. There we are.
all right. We did it. I'm so proud of us.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, there's the magical and the mystical works when we have the opportunity and the possibility to make it happen.
Well, now there's something else fun going on. You're sideways.
I
It
see.
looks
Well,
like you're relaxed. You're lying down like,
let's see if can I rotate? Oh, did it rotate? Let's see.
now I see something else. This is fun.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to be that. No, then it just flipped over to the other side.
Let me see.
That's
Did this
fine.
do anything?
I'll be.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I
I
went
think
long
maybe
ways on
you
my
had to do
end.
that.
Oh my God, we did it.
Yay! See,
Yay, us. And it only took us 4 minutes. Wow.
stellar.
Well, if I, we'll have to edit it afterwards to start right now. Hey, I'm here with
Exactly.
Dr. Tammy Sorenson Besher, and welcome to Awake. I'm so glad you're here. Tammy's leading an upcoming retreat called the 5 Pillars of Health. That's just part of the title. And it's going to be a day of mindfulness in beautiful Evergreen, Colorado. We got a cabin right on a river. If it's nice out, we get outside and do some walking meditation. We have a beautiful lunch we provide from Tasman's Organics. It's just a gorgeous day. So we do deep dives every month. And this one, though, we're really excited to have Dr. Tammy because she has so much wisdom and she's going to share. One of the things we can fit in today when we only have 20 minutes or so online is what I'm most intrigued about is the 5 pillars of health, which I'd love to learn about. Um, so you want to tell people who you are, Tammy, and what you're all about, and tell us about
Sure. Well,
some
first
health?
of all, thank you for the opportunity and the possibility to be able to share this with our community and our tribe. That I want to express, and my deepest gratitude to you. So thank you. And so mine is more specific to functional medicine. So functional medicine to me, and maybe some of you have heard of Dr. Mark Hyman. So he would be basically the godfather of functional medicine, and learning about what we're looking at as from that perspective. To me, we look at it as like a systems biology. If it has to do with the mind, if it's neurology, how that can affect the gut, and again, vice versa, how the gut can affect the mind, and the same thing with musculoskeletal system, how it can affect some other gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, nervous system. So the idea is like we just don't extrapolate one. So we're not just thinking like gastroenterology, we're not just thinking cardiovascular. All these systems merge to create this biology of who we are in our medicine. And our 5 pillars of what we look at is healthy relationships, number one, with ourselves, and then with others, how we can transform that once we're in our space of compassion and care and that gratitude, appreciation, the love for who we are. That's where that first starts out at. And then
Tammy, can I pause there real quick?
Oh, sure, please.
Just healthy relationship, and we're clarifying that healthy relationship is with ourselves and others.
Well, it starts with ourselves first.
Oh, I love it.
Right. So that's the idea. We want to be able to cultivate that gratitude, appreciation, love, compassion, and care, and not live in those stress components, which again, for a lot of us, don't even realize. Again, I moved from Manhattan to Colorado in 2008. And if you were to ask me at that point if I was stressed out, I would have said, no, I'm a New Yorker. We just get stuff done. That's what we do. That's who we are. But I think that a lot of people aren't aware that worry, fear, overwhelm, agitation, frustration, anger, worry, control, judgment, self-aggrandization, ego, they're all part of that stress factor and those components. So once we can have that relationship with ourselves, or we can be more in that moment of the presence and being mindful and not letting our environment, body, and time affect who we are on the inside, then we are allowed to be able to create those relationships outside of us. So those healthy relationships.
So you got to start within, and then the external all works out. That's how I see things as well.
Definitely. Right. No, we definitely are collaborating on that. And then it goes into exercise and movement. So just speaking about how we can, there's a plethora. We're up here in Evergreen, Colorado, and we have so many different modalities, whether we hike or we ski, right, or we bike, or we do HIIT training or yoga. So I'm going to really dive into really what we can be looking at in that respect. And then we go through sleep hygiene, the best ways to really create how we can get the best night's sleep. Everything from like how to set up the room, to should you wear blue blocking glasses, to when we should be shutting off our devices, our TVs, right, our phones. I call them the glow kids, just having that glow light off of that, right? Because again, it just lights up that brain, and the body can't be in, creating melatonin, which is our rest, digest, calm, relax, sleep hormone. And then as we go further, we talk about stress modulation. And I really take a deep dive in that, because I feel like that's the most important thing. And that segues, of course, across the board with all of them. Because again, if you don't have that healthy relationship with yourself, and then you're exercising, you're overtraining too much, right? So then that's that excess stress again. And then we're not sleeping, which of course, excess stress again. So to me, that's part of it. And then last but not least is nutrition. And nutrition to me is, I think a lot of people will come in and they'll be like, I just don't know how to eat. People tell me to eat a well-balanced diet, but I don't know what that means. So that's really where I just allow people to just like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about phytonutrients. We're going to learn, what kind of fats, what kind of proteins, what kind of carbs. So learning more about that, that molecular structure, and helping people just get a basic understanding of, not everybody is going to be on the same lifestyle plan either, which is my fancy way of saying diet. I don't like to use that word. So we're going to open up the floor to say like, okay, where's that Q&A to help people get that understanding? And then of course I'm going to do breath work and meditation. So I really want to have it where people can really take that immersion into self. And of course, you and I talked about this. I would really love it if it could be silenced in between, unless if we're having Q&A, because I want people to create within themselves first and then be able to have that expression into them of like, okay, look, now I'm hearing, I'm listening, I'm aware. What do I need to do to create from this? And then we'll have a stellar Q&A at the end.
Well, okay, this is unbelievable, Tammy. So people are starting to tune in more to the feeds here. And I just wanted to let people know that we're talking about the 5 pillars of health from a functional medicine perspective.
Correct.
And that Dr. Tammy is teaching a retreat coming up with us on Sunday, April 3rd in beautiful Evergreen, Colorado. We have a cabin. It's right on the side of the river, a beautiful venue. And so what I heard so far is the 5 pillars of health is first healthy relationship. We start with ourselves, and then the external kind of works itself out if we're good in here. The exercise and movement is, of course, incredibly important. And we're going to integrate some of that during the retreat with some mindful movement. And then sleep hygiene. God, right. Getting a good night's sleep is so incredibly important. Everything else goes better when that happens. And then stress modulation. And Dr. Tammy, you told us that that's going to be the deepest probably dive of the day, is into modulating stress. And I love your example of when you're in the busyness of life, like you said, you're from New York and I'm from Boston back east. It's kind of a thing where you just go and that becomes your normal, and you live with I think, a baseline level of stress that you don't even see.
Right. No, we become addicted.
Yeah.
We totally become addicted to the cortisol and the adrenaline hits, that epinephrine. We become addicted to them, and you don't even realize that you're living in that state. And
yes.
and those subconscious programmings are so innately within you that you're not, I mean, you're just like, no, this is just how my being is. And until you really take that dive into really like, okay, how do I create from this other place where it's like, I'm non-reactive, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. You want to stay within your grace, and you don't want that environment, body, and time changing the way that you are feeling and leading from that coherence, which is that combination from that heart and mind connection, which is that heart rate variability. You've probably, that's like the new buzzword these days. So that's me. And I'm going to talk about that. So I'm going to talk about heart and mind coherence. I'm going to go into heart rate variability. I'm going to, I use the Aura rings. That's kind of how I am able to track it. Not that you need to do that. You can just get one of those straps to kind of, do the HRV straps to figure that out, but it will help you. And that's the beats in between the heartbeat. And the higher the interval, the better you are. So it's kind of counterintuitive, because your heartbeat you want lower, but your HRV you want higher. And then when you're at a higher HRV, you're better able to handle stress. You're better able to, your immune system is more resilient. I mean, there's so many stellar, caveats that come along with that. So that's why, to me, that I feel that the more knowledge people can get around that, the better we're going to be able to have a better bandwidth for ourselves.
So this is really interesting. Oh, the last one is nutrition, by the way.
Right.
But the interesting thing so at Awake, we have a deep dive every month with a different amazing teacher like you that we bring in to teach us. But what I've noticed almost every retreat is it's almost, we just create a safe container where people can check out from the incredible busyness and fullness of life and just land for the day. And it sounds like that's what we're pointing towards here, is we don't even know how revved up we are sometimes. And I think just having that permission in each of the retreats to stop the chase, to just slow down. And then by the end of the day, it's amazing. The whole group feels so different by the end of every day. And I wonder if you measured that with the tools you're talking about. I bet you'd see a huge difference in the heart rate variability or whatever these tools are.
Oh, definitely.
Coherent, right? They're more embodied. They're more there. It's such a rich feeling.
No, and that's, I even do that with my patients on the table. A lot of them will have the Aura rings. So we'll do it once they're on the table, you can kind of see what their heart rate is and their HRV. And then you see them get off the table. And to me, for my practice, I do acupuncture along with mindfulness and breath work and polyvagal nerve theory, so vagus nerve stimulation. So all these different modalities to get these patients on the table to really see like, hey, look, this is where you started and this is where we're ending after an hour and a half treatment. And then really getting them to be mindful and aware. And what I really want people to walk away with from our session, for what we're going to do for our deep dive, is to learn to be in that place of being relaxed and aware and being present in the moment. And we do that by, and it, again, this monkey mind that a lot of us have, it's just saying, hey, you know, I'm noticing that I'm thinking about, you know, the not too distant future, like, oh, I have patients after this, and oh, I just treated patients, and I have my kids, right? So for me, it's like, how do I just stay in that space? So it is being relaxed. More importantly, is staying within that relaxed state, and then being aware. And that's my formula. And for me, just, you know, all the health anomalies that I've had, and I initially, for me, my first diagnosis was with RA, which is rheumatoid arthritis. But for me now, that's how I came up with, no, now I'm relaxed and aware. I don't need to, and we know that it's a genetic predisposition. We know that our environment, the chemical stressors, the emotional stressors, the physical stressors are what turns on our genetics. And then for me, we can modulate that. And that's what I want to share with people. So I'm actually going to touch upon the genetic component when it comes to functional medicine, and how those chemical stresses, those environmental stressors, and those physical stressors turn on our genes. But we actually have, our genes are not our destiny, which is the beauty of it. And we know that the environment, the genes load the gun, and the environment does pull the trigger. So I am going to touch upon that as well.
What was that saying about?
Oh yeah, the saying is the genes load the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger.
Okay. Is that like epigenetics, when there's certain things we're predisposed to that won't happen unless, say, we have a lot of stress, say, and then they come up? Or
totally, that is the epi meaning above the genes. So what environmentally is turning those genes on?
Cool.
Exactly.
Can we back up real quick to something?
Please.
I'm really curious about in our culture, when you hear the word relaxed, I heard you say that, and what I think some people say, and myself included more in the past, relax meant a bag of chips and watching Netflix and smoking a joint, maybe, you know, like.
Right. Touche.
But as I do more of this practice, I've been at it for over 20 years now, the mindfulness piece, what I think relaxed is, and I wonder if you agree or how you see it, relaxed to me is not attached to my crazy monkey mind.
Right.
It's not being pulled around by my thoughts and feelings so much. And I can just chill out and rest. It doesn't mean like zoned out or spaced out, or like, you know, that thing when you need to recover from a hard day. It's more like, I don't know. How do you define relaxed from a mindfulness perspective? Or
right. So for me, it is staying in the presence. It's when that monkey mind starts to decide to say, what do we have to do now? What's next? Okay, I know what patient I have at 1 o'clock today. Right. So staying right here. I'm in this space. I'm relaxed within my mind and heart. That's number one, right? So I connect to that, right? And then just get that connection going, and then being like, okay, now the body, because the body, and like I say to my patients, we want to take the mind out of the body, right? Because the body has been getting the thoughts, the signals, the messages all these years. And then people wonder why those little worries and fears and overwhelms and stresses come in. And the body's like, well, you've already been giving me these signals all along. So I'm going to give you a little bit of pain in your shoulder. I'm going to give you a little bit of gut dysbiosis, right? I'm going to give you a little bit of, you know, where your head's going to hurt. Now, again, for me, you know, being a functional medicine practitioner, you know, we can look at food sensitivities and food allergies, and if there's environmental toxicity. So I'm not saying there's not this whole other branch that we need to look at, but what we really want to create is the nervous system to be calm and relaxed. And once that nervous system is calm and relaxed, then we're able to heal. Because I can't tell you how many people will come into my office and they're like, no, I'm already paleo and I'm doing Bikram yoga every day and I'm still not well. I'm still stressed, or I just am getting over cancer, or I have autoimmune, or I have pain, or, you know, my blood pressure is high. I see that all the time. But to me, before we do any of that, I don't want to overwhelm my patients. I really want to focus with them on creating this awareness in their nervous system. So to me, the relaxation is the way that we just come and we present, and we're not looking to zone out. We're looking for the presence of it. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, this just leads to more questions. We got to upload this to the podcast, and maybe we need more time next time.
Definitely.
In 20 minutes or 30 minutes, maybe. Well, so what I heard there maybe is what I see a lot. I'm a therapist when I'm not running Awake Festival or these deep dives. Is that they're doing wellness. And it's like our culture is so good at doing. We do the job, we do the relationship, we get the whole thing of doing. And then, of course, we can't help but do wellness. It's like, yeah, I go to yoga 5 days a week and I do this way of eating. But it feels like they're missing piece there is our nervous systems can still be very dysregulated while doing. instead of a feeling of, okay, is my nervous system okay? Am I in this space of wellness? And then you don't do yoga, you be yoga.
Right.
Is that the crux kind of?
Right. Well, that's the difference between the human doing and the human being.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's that idea. And it's not as though that I still don't go hike and I don't, go do I do yoga. Right. But to me, it's right. But it's everywhere in between that. And then not allowing that environment outside of ourselves to change ourselves either. Right. So that's that other spot. So if I have 2 young children, 2 young girls, and if they're fighting and arguing, my thing is like, sometimes I'll just go sit in the middle of it and I'll put my little blindfold on and I'll just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and breathe and just show them what I would do if that was the situation. Right. I mean, I know it's a little extreme, but it gives them a sense of like, okay, look, this energy that we're creating. And number one, I'm not going to allow their energy to change who I am. So I'm not going to let me become frustrated or angry or upset. So the idea is like, just show them my energy. So that way, then I have the room, right? That way that I'm present, having the presence of who I am and just saying like, girls, I'm going to show you what I can do. So this way I don't have to have this kind of energy flowing because this isn't good for us. This isn't healthy for us. So let's find a better space. And, of course, they're young, right? I mean, them being 10 and 5. I mean, so, that's a hard sell. But then they can at least see, like, this is a possibility. This is an opportunity. And I meditate with my kids every morning when I have them.
So this points to something that, and if you're just joining us, Tammy's teaching a retreat coming up April 3rd here in Evergreen, Colorado. So you can join us for the whole day. But what we were just talking about is what I heard from, you have a neuroscience background too, I heard, is the mirror neuron thing that I learned about is so amazing. It's like, so your kids are fighting, their nervous systems are getting dysregulated, and you can't reason with them, they can't reason with each other because they're so triggered. So
right.
Even if you just sit there and bring your own energy, keep it grounded, what I understand is their mirror neurons in their own brains can't help on like an animal level to calm down with you. It's why when I do therapy, if someone's really stressed, sometimes I'll just sit back, I'll slow my speech, I'll really work on my own nervous system state. And next thing you know, you just feel their energy. Is that what we're talking about?
Right, totally. That is exactly. It is a total mirror neurons. I mean, and that's where we want to, and again, create that we have to have that within ourselves. That's why it's so important when I talk about healthy relationships with us first. We're not taught this. We're not, I mean, there's no emotional regulation that you learn in any sort of grammar school, high school, right? I mean, it's not there. I mean, you're aware of this. And to me, for what I've seen, like, and again, I grew up in Jersey, but I lived in Manhattan for 12 years before I moved out to Colorado. So again, it's that same vibe, right? It's that same jam. It's go, 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 hurry up and do. The more you do, the more accolades you get, the more that of girls. But we know that stress has been, that's part of it, right? It's just been, that's how you grew up. So I think a lot of people, my last patient, I just sat on the table, she's just like, that's just how I am. But, she had cancer 4 years, uterine cancer 4 years ago. And my whole thing with her is, look, we really want to create change for you. So that way your body isn't going to go back and do that again. But we got to get the nervous system before we worry about the food and the exercise, right? And the sleep. Before we get that as part of my 5 pillars, we have to get that stress modulation dialed in first and foremost.
Okay. And that's why out of the big 5, the pillars of health from functional medicine, the biggest one you focus on, and especially on our upcoming retreat, is stress modulation.
That's right.
The nervous system is dysregulated. You can't sleep, I would think. And I even had a person tell me, my acupuncturist, Jordan New, who's a sweetheart, by the way, he's in Denver and great practice. But I was talking about some really high-end probiotics for my gut. And he's like, dude, you got to work on your stress first. It's not even going to like land for you, was his feeling around it. And I really agree. It's like we can do all these things, but first we better be okay inside, like not like fight or flight.
Right. And I think it goes even beyond that, right? I think the majority of us are in freeze. I can't tell you how many patients I see who just there's no up or down. Right. This chronic state of freeze. I mean, I know and for me, my history was, I was diagnosed from everything from RA to MS. And again, I mean, and you think about MS, like the complete total nervous system breakdown, right? Like that's the idea. I mean, that's how I looked at it, right? So again, to me, we know that we can create and be in this space. And that's what I mean. I know the struggle. I know how it is to be dragged through the mud. I know how it is to not know what's going on, what's going on with myself, but why I couldn't figure it out. So again, I didn't have that knowledge and mindset. So this is my service for our community and for our tribe to say that we can start really at this place right off the beginning. Just start right creating within yourself and not letting your environment create who you are. Not listening to all those little nuggets and pearls. Your body's like, oh, your elbow or your shoulder. Okay, what am I not doing right? Why am I having diarrhea? Okay, that's a sign. Why is my skin inflamed? I have a new patient right now that's like, hey, I've been having, and again, it's called eudycardia. And it's undiagnosed. So my thing is, how do I figure that out for my patients? How do I create for them to be in that space?
Well, can I pop in there?
Internal.
But isn't that the piece around that? So we'll weave mindfulness into our day together, of course, is listening to our bodies. So what I see it as, the body starts with a whisper, like you're saying. It's like just a little pang on the shoulder or the belly. And next thing you know, if you keep ignoring it, that's when we get these really blown out of proportion medical issues.
And chronic disease.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying is you don't deny that there's real material stuff we got to deal with, and from a mainstream medical perspective, like we're going to deal with this stuff, but a lot of it probably is there just because we haven't been listening and slowing down and being
right. And my big thing is
healing too, right? We got to self-heal, care for it.
Yes, and I believe in that. I mean, and I've seen some crazy things in my day with regard to that. But to me, it's more about the connection with the heart and the mind. That's number one. That's my formula, is heart, mind connection, and then the body. Because right now the body is the boss, because it's been getting all, like I shared, like the signals, the messengers, even the little chatter, like, oh, no, you don't need to do that today. You just do that tomorrow. You don't need to eat right, or you don't need to meditate, or you don't need to breathe. Just start that tomorrow. Like, we like where we're at.
Going. Just keep working.
Right? Because we've created the monster. That's the reality. Like, we've created our sickness, we created our dis-ease, right? I mean, as we call it. So how do we then modulate that? And it's a dance. It's a dance with the self. I mean, I know all too well that dance and that creation. And sometimes, you're going to see what serves you and what honors you and what doesn't. So sometimes you got to do a little bit of housekeeping on a lot of fronts. But to me, the dysregulated immune system is where I'm finding majority of people don't even realize they're living in that state. And like I shared, if you would have asked me when I moved out from New York, I would have never have said that I'm stressed. So I get living in the illusion of that VR headset. I get that. But the reality is so many of us have this dysregulation, and there's so many issues. And like I shared, whether it's skin or it's gastro, I would say the top three when it comes to immune dysregulation are cardiovascular disease, gastrointestinal disease, and immune system issues.
Yeah. Well, so someone just said online here, let it be. And right. I think that's reminding me that on Sunday, April 3rd at the deep dive, Lauren Suka is going to support you in the retreat. And she's going to really bring some mindfulness to add more mindfulness to the container.
Right.
And I think let it be is maybe one of the things as we start to wrap up here of from a Buddhist perspective, that's where Awake came from, is kind of based on Buddhism and mindfulness. All these arisings, they're physical, emotional thoughts. We can just let them arise and let them fall and stay centered and be okay with all the changing, arisings. And so we can always, I feel like that's the foundation of our day together at all these deep dives.
Well, nobody's saying that you should have. I agree with you. And the thing is whether nobody's saying you're going to live on this plane of not ever feeling worried or stressed or fearful or angry. It's how you modulate it, though. Like, be aware and keep that, that calibration. Once that energy comes in and you can start to feel it, and say you feel the anger and frustration, being aware of it. Okay, now I'm aware. Do I really want to let all of that adrenaline and cortisol and back in that monkey mind hit into those adrenals? No. So my thing now is like, I am not going to let that stimulus from the outside, right? That exogenous whatever it might be coming in from outside of me to change who I am on the inside, right? Like really, truly to find that difference. Because to me, if we can learn how to create from within ourselves and know that we are not that product, we're not going to be a byproduct of the environment, body, and time. And then knowing that if we can recalibrate within that sense, it's like it's like learning how to ride a horse.
Yeah.
Right? That horse is, you get on that stallion, and that horse is going to want to just take you for a ride if you haven't ridden it. Right. And you don't know how to ride a horse. But if you can get on that stallion and you've been on there, you learn how to pull the reins in. So depending on the patients, I'll say, you're the captain of your ship, or you're, you get to, be your guide, or however you can really find that essence within yourself that works for you. I have 2 little girls, so I always like to say, you're like Tinkerbell. You're like your little fairy goddess, right? I mean, like, you don't go right. She doesn't get angry or frustrated. You can for a little bit, but find that refractory period. That's actually the right word for it. And work within that sense to say, okay, I felt that, but don't let it blow up for 12 hours later. Like, let it be there, honor it, and then breathe into it and go, okay, I'm going to let that go. And I'm telling you, because that used to be some of my things. I would get frustrated and irritable, and I'm like, okay, this is making me sick. This is literally making me sick. So literally. And I just realized that, like, time after time. And again, it's just like anything else. You have to work at it, whether you're knitting or you're, doing yoga postures, and you have to practice it. And just like all of what we do, right? You meditate, it's a practice. It's mindfulness, it's a practice. So for me, with my patients, the most important thing is we get in the practice of being who we want to be, right? Because that old self is the self that has been sick. We're in the new self. We're creating that individual. And my whole thing is we start right at that nervous system level.
I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Tammy.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So we'll be together soon in real life. I love it after COVID seems to be giving us a break, or hopefully for good.
Yes.
And we're all getting together again in real life. We have this beautiful cabin that we gather at Streamside here in Evergreen. It's Sunday, April 3rd. We start at 9 a.m. We go to 4 p.m. It's a nice full day of mindfulness and all these great tools Tammy's going to give you to take home.
Right. And we'll have a PowerPoint presentation. So we'll have nice visuals. We'll have Q&A, right? I mean, so it's going to be just like going to a functional medicine conference.
Yeah. Everyone's going to get so much. I can't wait. And even too, in the middle of the day, like you said, we do practice silence outside of the, unless you have a question or something. So people have a chance, like you're saying, to really let the nervous system settle. And what one of my favorite things is everyone loves lunch even more because they're mindful and present and they're really tasting it. And it really soothes their body. And the food's from Tasman's Organics, which if anyone knows, their food is exceptional. So what an experience to really taste your food and to let it heal your body. And we're just going to bring so much together in this day. So.
Right. No, I'm very excited. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm truly grateful.
Yeah. So we'll see you soon. And we hope that you can attend, everyone that was watching. And thanks for watching today.
Thank you. Do you shut us down on both? Okay, go.